It's Spoilerin time, folks. This show is built on the back of Cordkillers. Imagine Cordkillers is a turtle made up of how we watch things, where we watch things, and then the world of spoilers is sitting on top of it. That's where we get to talk about the stuff we watched. This week, we will talk about Miami Vice Season 4, Episode 5, Child's Play, Succession, Season 4, Episode 6, and Ted Lasso, Season 3, Episode 7. I'm Tom Merritt. He's not a turtle.
Last time I checked, there was no investigation on this. Also, imagine the turtle's back is made of solar panels and also nanobots that create content.
Yeah,
I think
named
I settled
Brushwood.
things. I'm Brian.
Yeah. And joining us, Merrill Barr as well.
I've returned now without a hoodie. Yay.
Whoa. It's like Merrill the White, not Merrill the Gray. He comes at the turning of the spoilers.
Well, I am always Merrill the White. Okay. Like, let's just.
In some ways, I suppose that's true. Let's start by talking about Ted Lasso, Season 3, Episode 7, The Strings That Bind Us. A new strategy. That new strategy that Ted experienced while eating French fries is put into practice. And boy, does it fail.
I like the progression of the strategy. I am loath to admit that I didn't love the early 1980s frat comedy of tying them around their genitals.
Yeah. I'm gonna be with you on that. I found it.
I found
irrelevant.
It unnecessary, and
I wasn't offended or anything. I just didn't think it was that
fits.
hilarious.
But the goal really wasn't to train the team, though. That was Roy having a piss with.
Yeah. No, I got it.
Expense.
I got it. Yeah.
So I think it fits the character, but I would also add, I thought it was funny, but I would also say, like, last week's episode very much what felt like we're winning the Emmy, by the way. Oh, did you not know? We're taking the Emmy one last time. That's our Emmy, right? That's ours. So that was the last episode. So I felt like they had to swing the pendulum back all the way to really frat boy silly humor. Because they went so far in the other direction in the previous episode. And I think that, it go all the way down to like the training montage and the constant throwing up and the lovable like story of Nate wanting to ask out this girl. And I thought that I enjoyed it very much. I thought it was all very wholesome and cute. Even the stuff with the a string tied around the genitals, I thought was wholesome in a Ted Lasso way.
I don't know if that's wholesome, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
And also, like,
it's innocent.
I don't know if can we say the strategy? They scored a goal with that strategy.
Well, like, once Jamie adapted it, right? It was a failure until Jamie stepped in and said, "Well, what you need to do is this," and he sacrificed himself for the good of the strategy.
Yeah, and I think that I really enjoyed. I get that it was like, you know what it is. There was nothing outside the box in this one. Everything went exactly as first passy as it would go. Sam was Sam, right? The one who had the restaurant destroyed. Yeah, Sam with the racist in the restaurant, and then the stuff with Nate and the girl. And like, if you really wanted to twist it, it would have been the girl still saying no, right? But it's like, no, we want Nate to have a happy ending. And it reminds you, like, this is a broadcast show with Apple money at the end of the day. And it played like that, and I very much enjoyed it.
And it was Keeley getting the love bombs. That was the other one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I forgot about that part.
That, and also, like, oh my goodness. Since, what was it, 1 or 2 episodes ago, like, once they established that Trent Krim was gay, holy cow, was it a press release that he was like, starting now, please act more gay. Like that.
Now with 20% more gay clothing.
Yeah, that again, broadcast network television trope. Like, that is just a thing that happens in broadcast television.
Sure, but also I did enjoy bringing kind of Nate back into the fold of people who we are allowed to care about. My favorite part of this entire episode, Tom, was Roy Kent and his self-loathing as he indulged in Ted Lasso puns. Also,
God, that was
not
so
for
good.
nothing, as silly and as over the top as the swapping of roles was to have the Kit Boy paint on a beard and be Coach Beard. Loved all of it. I was
laughed
there
so
for all of it. It was very, very funny. I liked all of it.
It was a pleasant episode. It was
Yes.
wholesome is pretty close to the right word, but whatever the word, it's somewhere around there, right? Like this was not the one episode you'll remember from this season, but it was perfectly enjoyable.
It was.
I think we are setting something up with Keeley. That was the more sinister part of this episode. If it had a sinister part, was that Jack is being very manipulative, and that Keeley is starting to chafe under that, and the fact that she is her investor means that things could get awkward should Keeley decide she doesn't want to be love bombed anymore.
That power dynamic makes me. I continue to feel like this is a fling. By the way, did you notice that there was almost a very, very obvious calling out of the fact that they're pulling back from? At the end of season 1, they said, "Well, it's pretty obvious what we do is, we failed. Now we come back, then we win the whole dang thing." Now all of a sudden we have 4 numbers, and very obviously Ted Lasso pulls back from saying what 4 is. Doesn't matter what 4 is. 4 will be whatever 4 is. He's definitely in a meta level appearing to talk about the structure of the seasons going forward.
And doesn't want to spoil what number 4 is. Yeah.
Yes.
So
No.
it will be more
It's
seasons.
very. Watch it again, and it's very clearly a pitch to my eyes.
I don't think it's a pitch, but I get where you could think that. Like, and I may be wrong. I don't know. I don't think they wanted a 4th season.
But they're open to it. And
I don't think they are.
They don't want to be penned in.
I disagree. I think they have a 3-season story and having to make a 4th would be something an executive would want, not them.
I agree.
But there's, as I've been saying, there is a difference between them having a 3-episode arc they're going to close out this season, and then just starting another arc. I mean,
That's a different thing. Yeah. And maybe the 4 would be the new spin-off series pitch. Is that what you're thinking, Brian?
I am thinking that somebody at Apple says, "So you're the most financially productive thing we've created in Apple TV Plus, full stop, bar none. What if you didn't stop at 3? What if there was a 4th?"
Of course they're saying that.
And then they would say, "What would that look like?" And they're like, "We don't care. Decide later. Just add the idea that there's a 4th chapter."
Oh, but I don't think that little piece is what sells the audience on it.
No. I think the quality of the show is what sells the audience on it. But I think the
it's a
reason
that those two are related
we went from 3 to 4 has more to do with the same person that made sure that we saw a lot of earpods, we saw a lot of iPhones, we saw a lot of
but I would
laptops.
I would add though, I began my review of this episode saying this episode went exactly as predicted. There wasn't a lot of layering underneath it. And so I think this is just them saying, no, there's a 4th thing in Ted's playbook that hasn't been revealed yet. I think it's literally as surface level as that.
He doesn't have a 4th thing. The whole thing is he's making it up. I think, sure, there are all these other...
But then
he's
why
making
would,
it up. So that's why he doesn't have a 4th
If
thing.
you feel that way, though, then why does he say... After I can't remember who the excitable one is. His name is escaping me.
Welcome to my favorite segment. Hollywood writer argues with podcast producer and can't remember names of
I'm not
characters.
arguing. No, but like he runs and he says, "Yes, this is the 4th thing. Self-sacrifice. Jamie is sacrifice." And then Ted goes, that's totally awesome. It's not the 4th thing though." And then he walks away.
Which is exactly what you would say if you got a mandate from upstairs saying, "Have a 4th thing." Get people accustomed to the idea of more than 3 seasons.
I think this is just a story that had 4 of a thing in it.
Yeah. I think Ted's going to reveal the 4th thing later this season. I'm not yet sold, Brian. On
the real
idea
meta
that
bit
there's a
was when
secret meaning
Trent.
to that.
The real meta bit is when Trent ran in, going, "Ted, it's gonna work. It's gonna work." Like, and then it literally recaps the last 2 seasons beat for beat. Like, it's gonna work.
All right, that's Ted Lasso, season 3, episode 7. Let's talk about Succession, season 4, episode 6. Looks like Ken is going to really just play by the rules and sell the company to Mattson, right, Brian?
This was a bit of a confusing episode for me, and I would love both of your takes on this, because I was steeled for Ken to totally screw up again, but he didn't. It seems like he kind of nailed it. And
I mean,
per the stock price or whatever, all he did was, promise immortality to everybody who subscribes.
right. Like that's like on some level, that's an easy thing for him to do, right? Is say, we can squint and justify it just enough so we can do the best sell, right? Immortality, Disney condos, whatever, and yeah, pitch people the world. Obviously, it's successful in pushing the number up over the certain limit, but that's gonna bite them in the ass. I mean, that's a credit that they've taken out that they're going to have to pay back in kind.
Well, and it's also a snub to Mattson. And it's going to cause a problem either by spiking the stock price up and causing problems there, which is what Kendall wants, or by not working with the stock price, and then Mattson has to kill it, and it makes Kendall look bad or causes problems for Kendall that way.
So the most obvious conclusion for everything in this 4th season of the show is for Roman to go full Logan Roy. Which,
how so?
Because he's the one who hasn't washed out yet. He's the one who is asserting himself and discovering the power within. But the mere fact that that's kind of fairly obvious to me as a viewer suggests to me, in a show that subverts my expectations constantly, that almost certainly that will not be what ends up happening. Because to be honest, this is the Roman show right now. He's finally getting his act together. He's firing people left and right, and he's even standing up and, he
doesn't have the confidence to do it. He has to ask Kendall if it was okay that he did it, right? That was the weird part.
Yeah.
He does use the same soft language as he always has, but the decisions... You know what? Actually, I was about to say the decisions have been firm, but Jerry's still there, at the end of the
Jerry's
episode. So he unsuccessfully fired Jerry. So I withdraw my conclusion. I withdraw all of my speculations. I'm trying a lot out right now. Who knows? Who knows?
But I mean, that's his character. He's the anxious one. Tom?
Yeah, and Shiv making moves behind the scenes, playing Mattson off, but also kind of playing Mattson off Tom, where she's using the idea of Mattson having a relationship with her to kind of stoke the fires with Tom, while also feeding Mattson the idea that she'll have a relationship with him.
And to be honest, from Shiv's perspective, first of all, if we're playing the chess game, from Shiv's perspective, Tom is absolutely screwed because he has nothing without going through her. So it does make sense that she would consolidate her base and maybe let Tom in enough that she could make a proper play against her two siblings. I don't know. I mean, of course, the whole show's you're not supposed to trust anybody, but I trust least Shiv. I don't believe for 1 second. Bryce, where are you at? Who do you trust at this point? I trust Roman the most, and to be honest, Ken, I trust Ken to be Ken, and that's about it.
I trust Kendall the most right now because Kendall feels safe. He is going to do predictable things right now. Roman is a little more of a loose cannon, and yeah, Shiv is the sneakiest.
Also, Ken has we were reminded that he has heavy blackmail over his head. Where remember that time that the dude died? So how about you stay in your lane? So I trust Ken to stay in his lane. But Roman, like, what's he got to worry about? Like,
Roman has a checkered past, right? He's been at the company for a long time with Ken, and it was a bigger deal in the first season that that he had been given some power at some point and kind of washed out of any sort of upper responsibility. And I think we're seeing more of that with Roman. I don't know. He's a very anxious character. You know, we see him fire someone, and then where someone like Shiv is more an overconfident character, right? She thinks she can go walk right in and knock things out, and we've seen that that's not a thing, or it just hasn't.
It doesn't always go like she expects.
Yeah. I'm having trouble figuring out what everyone is motivated for at the moment. Like, do they want to, who wants to run the company still? Why are you all fight? Like, it's
They're
very
motivated
layered,
over controlling the future.
which is like you all have it's you all have money.
The future is I want to have the plan where we get, what is it? Pierce,
the left-leaning news.
and then we'll have control over that, and we won't have all these gray beards around telling us what to do. So the myth that they're all buying into is that I will control the future in the Pierce merger. What Kendall is starting to wake up to is like, why should I settle for the Pierce merger? I could have the whole kingdom. And now Roman is starting to get the siren song of that, like, well, maybe I could have the whole kingdom, or at least a piece of the kingdom. Shiv is the one that's still like, my way to power is Pierce. So it's all about power. At least that's the way I'm looking at it.
I might push back on that a little bit. Part of me wants to play the game that they do on the show where it's like, you know what, Tom, people are saying, they're just saying that maybe, what if that wasn't the case? I mean, who knows? But the way I'm reading it, I'm dropping the facade. The way I'm reading it right now is that they're all wealthy. They all know they're going to stay wealthy.
Yeah.
And now they're flirting with the idea of their own legacy and their own pride coming into things. If they take the deal and they're done, they get a lot of money, but then they admit that their dad was just better than them.
I was not. If I didn't explain this clearly, I apologize. I don't think it has anything to do with the money either. And maybe legacy is a better way of explaining it than power. But I feel like power is the way to the legacy.
It just feels like it gets complicated in this presumably the last phase of the show, because it seems like the company and running it is not everybody's end goal. And now I no longer can see, well, all four people want four different things. What's the overlap so that we know where the conflict and the battlegrounds is actually going to, what are they fighting for if they all want different parts of different things when, I guess it's ultimate control, but that just gets lost in the actual moment-to-moment of the show.
Speaking of which, we saw a little bit of Greg sort of making that desperate, like, nothing to lose move where he's going to bully people in the editing room and saying, but I need you to do it, and trying that on for size. If we were placing bets, does Greg even have a seat at the table or no?
Greg ends up as CEO is a scenario.
Yeah.
Right? Where all the children lose and Greg wins.
Would you place that bet?
Totally.
I would.
Against Tom?
Well, I think Greg survived Tom Merritt. I think Greg
against Tom Merritt, who suddenly shows up as a character.
I bet Greg survives, but I don't think he's like whichever character. It's not a Game of Thrones position that Greg wins. I think. I think he's
that's
like
a good question. Is how many things are left to be in charge of at the end? Right, there could be more than two, even. Right, there's going to be Pierce. There's going to be ATN. There's going to be Waystar Royco. That could be two things, like
TV and movies, the aerospace, the whole political stuff. Like we have had a few episodes just teasing the election.
Because remember, in actuality, not that this is in any way based on Rupert Murdoch, for heaven's sake, but News Corp and Fox split, and then Fox sold off part of itself to Disney, part of itself to Sinclair, and kept the rest as a smaller fiefdom for one of the Murdoch children.
This episode did a really good job of reminding us how unfireable so many of the players are. Like Jerry just so didn't take seriously being fired because of the dirt that she has, that they didn't even pretend like she walked off set. And likewise, the guy who played Sledgehammer, what's his name?
Sledgehammer. Carl.
Carl said, he's the one that covered up for Ken about the death. And so he's like, yeah, I'm unfireable. And everybody kind of dances around that. But I don't know. It does sort of, I don't know. I literally, this is my favorite part of any kind of story, is when I honestly have no idea what's about to happen next.
Yeah. Agreed. So we'll have to watch it again next week. That is Succession, season 4, episode 6. Let's bring Merrill back in. If you're wondering where he went, he didn't watch Succession. So we didn't want to.
I'm a poor person who doesn't watch stories about rich people.
You don't have to be rich to watch Succession. Let's
you
talk
just have
about
to
Miami.
Want to be rich.
Let's talk about Miami Vice, season 4, episode 5, Child's Play. The purported reason for putting this, since we're not watching every Miami Vice, was the cameo by Ving Rhames. We see him twice. Like, he's barely in this. You could tell it's Ving Rhames, but you really don't get much out of him.
But he is the foil of the episode, though. Like, in terms of like
that's true.
Like, he is the antagonist of the episode. That said, let me also state, I actually have never seen a full episode of Miami Vice outside the pilot. So this is like my first running with the show. I must say, I picked a hell of an episode to be my first like regular, like, not the pilot episode of Miami Vice.
Are you saying this because you thought it was good or not good?
No, I thought the episode was really good. I thought, well, for 80s television, I thought it was really good. And like they're really like, what's the saying? It's always reach beyond your grasp, right? Always try to reach further than you are capable of, or reach, try to reach as far as you can go. Like, that's what they're going for
that's
here.
What they say, man.
And I thought this whole plot line about Crockett shooting the kid was really compelling and really interesting.
They made you think that he killed the kid.
Yeah.
They let you live with that for a minute.
Yeah, and it doesn't pull punches. And then when it's like, oh, the kid is not who you think he is, the kid actually is a gang member from Chicago. It's like, yeah, that doesn't make then. But Crockett's like, I don't care. I shot a kid, man. Like, I don't care that don't make this. Don't. And also just this whole trauma response of like, stop trying to make this feel better. I shot a kid. It's not going to feel good, dude. Please stop making me feel okay about this. I liked all of it.
Yeah. Also, Isaac Hayes was in this episode. He played Holiday.
That's amazing. Tom,
yes.
If we were going to place this in the overall rankings as a percentage of all of the episodes of Miami Vice that we've watched all the way up until now, just internally, where would you place this?
Towards the bottom. It was pretty predictable.
How far towards the bottom?
That's hard because I can't remember every episode of Miami Vice accurately enough to rank them, but the bottom third.
This felt like a 20%er to me.
Yeah.
Like Miami Vice has really surprised me in the past. Now, I had a chaotic day and I didn't give this the proper attention that it deserves, but it very much felt like a one-note story over and over and over again.
It is. I actually don't disagree with anything you were saying, Merrill. In the depth that and the nuance that it's treated, I think in 1986 or whenever this one was new, that punches much deeper than it does now, and we've seen these kind of stories done better since.
Yeah,
and that's no disrespect to Miami Vice, but the story was on rails. After the twist of the kid isn't their kid. It's all fairly predictable from there on out.
There's a thing that Taylor Sheridan has talked about many times. Taylor Sheridan, famously the writer of Yellowstone and Sicario and like a lot of like he owns the space of adult things right now. And he talks about how like he tries to make his stories and plots as absolutely bare bones simple as possible so he can invest all the time into character work. And that's what this felt like, is the story, the narrative, the plot could not be more bare bones. I agree. It could not be more bare bones stripped down, because it's all about how Crockett feels about shooting this kid, and also and then in the B plot of that, oh my God, my son might get adopted by another man. Like, and I think if you since the episode was all about that and his emotions and his character, I will defend the 100% bare bones, could not be more base level plotting of the episode itself.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of meat on the bones, even if you can see the bones. Yeah, it was fine. I have been surprised by other Miami Vice episodes, and this one didn't surprise me. I guess that
I will say,
I would give credit that the opening 5 minutes or so were like very well told and very well shot.
I will say, I definitely Shazammed the song that was playing in the last act to discover of course it's a U2 track. Like, and I was like, I'm gonna add that to the library. Like, it's like, wow, Miami Vice really did start that tradition, didn't it? Because there I was, just as if it was a modern show, just Shazamming the needle drop, and yep, it's great.
Any other thoughts, Brian?
No, I feel like I'm recusing myself from having very much judgment, because I did not give this my full attention, but it did appear to be kind of a one-note thing.
That is Miami Vice, Season 4, Episode 5, Child's Play. So next week, we will, of course, revisit Succession, Season 4, Episode 7, Ted Lasso, Season 3, Episode 8, and we will begin watching Silo, based on the Hugh Howey series on Apple TV+. I believe Apple's giving us the first 2 episodes to watch of that. So Silo 1 and 2, Ted Lasso 308, and Succession 407. Before we go, Merrill, Barr, let folks know where they can go to follow what you do on the internets.
Twitter.com/MerrillBarr, MERRILLBARR. When there are updates on that thing that you all know about at this point, they will all be there. Yay!
Fantastic. That's going to do it for us. Spoilerin Time is available early if you are a patron. So become a patron, get After Talk, the exclusive show at patreon.com/Cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.